Greetings and salutations, everyone. I hope everyone is doing well today. Today I have a subscriber from Arizona who reached out and shared his encounter via my narration. Today I have him on to share a couple of terrifying encounters that he had. Before we get into these encounters, though, a couple links. As you know, I rely on my Patreon, my PayPal, and my merch to help this channel to continue to grow and go. All of those links are in the description below. I also have a second channel for creepypasta, fanfiction, and scary voice acting. Stories that really don't fit on this channel. Now, if that's anything that you're into, follow that link and give those stories a listen. You may just like what you hear. Now, I've taken enough of your time. Let's get on with today's upload. Shall we? Alright, everybody. Today I have a subscriber named Bo with us. Not to be confused with Bo from Tennessee, but this subscriber had an encounter in Hutchins Mountains. That's what it is, right? Hutchins Mountains, Bo?
Hutch Mountain.
Hutch Mountain. He reached out, sent a couple of encounters to me, and then shared some stuff that I shared with you guys about his granddad. Bo, how are you today?
I'm doing good. Thank you for having me.
No, thank you for coming on. I appreciate it. Like I said before, the floor is yours, my friend. Share away.
Okay, so I'll start off. My family's an outdoors family. Like, I've literally been camping, like in Hutch Mountain and other places in Arizona, like my entire life. So I'm an outdoors kind of guy. When I was around, I believe it's around like 8 or 10 years old, we were going to Hutch Mountain, and anyone who's familiar with Hutch Mountain area, it's real dense forest, and it's like pine tree forest. And we're traveling one of these dirt roads, and we're the kind of campers that we go deep into the forest where there's nobody. We're never been camping with people. You know, we go so deep that there's nobody. So we're taking one of these roads, and we're going miles into an area where we're trying to find the camp. And what we do is my dad has this giant truck. And this truck, he has all of these kinds of spotlights, because my dad's kind of like an outdoors, romping truck kind of person. And he has a special light on the truck that you can grab and turn, and you can control it. And it's a specialized light that is 200,000, or not 200,000, 20. It's either 200,000 or 20,000 lumens. So it's super bright. And we would always drive in, and at night, we would be looking at the animals. And this road that we would take, this night that this happened, there was so much wildlife. Like, there was just elk everywhere. We almost ran into an elk, so we had to go down this road. It was just real dark, and we're going down this road, and we're having to go probably about 5 or 10 miles an hour because we don't want to, kill any of the animals that are jumping in front of the truck. And it happened, 3 times. And we saw, skunks, raccoons, and all this other stuff. As we're going probably maybe 4 or 5 miles off into this area, it's just nobody. We're looking for animals, and I'm holding the spotlight, and I'm twisting it, and then to my left, I see a pair of glowing red eyes. And I immediately think to myself, it's a deer, it's reflecting, and I want to see what it is. And then I don't know how to explain it, but I got goosebumps, and it just felt like something wasn't right. And everything was super quiet. There was no animals, there was no birds, there was no insects. It was just dead quiet, and it was just weird. And then that's when I saw those red eyes, and I immediately turned the special light that I had, the 200,000 lumens, and I hit this thing. And it's on this. So I'm basically hanging out the window, moving the little light thing that's on the roof, and I hit this creature, and I'm looking at it, and I'm just in shock because I don't know what I'm looking at. I see this. It looks like a wolf standing up, and it's huge. This truck is lifted, and this thing is it's over eye level at me, and it's only maybe 10 feet away or something. It's really close. And I could see it. Its fur is just black, and then in the middle, it's dark, but it's lightly darker. And this creature, it's like trapezoid shoulder muscles, and its rheumatoid muscles, and its levator scapular muscles are just absolutely huge. So it basically looks like a bodybuilder is the best way I could describe it. It's like a furry bodybuilder, and its face, it looks like the Nothing from the Nether Ending Story. If you guys have ever seen that movie, that's what its face looked like. And like, I'm telling you guys right now, and like goosebumps are just running down my leg. Every time I think about this creature and I see it, I just get terrified. So I sat there for a few seconds looking at it, and I just was like in utter shock of what I'm looking at. And then I start screaming for my dad to look at it, and my dad tells me, calm down. I'm trying to drive because he was worried about hitting animals that are darting, and it's pitch black, and he had shut the lights down so we could use the special lamp so we could see animals better and not scare them. So he had very little light, and then so he hits the brakes because I'm screaming for him to look at this thing, and by the time he turned around, the creature takes like a couple steps back, and the brush just kind of engulfs it, and it's gone. And all my dad sees is brush going back and forth. And then I'm like, Dad, I saw a werewolf. And my dad's like, no, calm down. He says, you just saw a bear. Bear, like, stand up. And I got all upset, and I was like, Dad, I know what a bear looks like. And I was irritated, and then we waited for a while. We didn't see anything, and then we continued on, okay? We finally get to a camping spot, which is only a mile or two from where I saw the creature. And it's this kind of open field, and then it has this deep brush. We go there, and one of the things that we noticed is really strange is when we were there, the animal life started behaving unusual. So there were like all this howling going on, but it was coyotes, and I recognized coyote howling, and I know that's what it was. And it to me, it seemed like they were either scared or they had killed something, but they were just howling like crazy. And when we started setting up camp, the coyotes were coming in to our camp, and they almost in an aggressive manner, like their tails were down low, and they're trying to grab my little brother. And like, I mean, if people know, coyotes can be dangerous, but they usually like don't come into your camp. And they would stay, when we got the fire going, the coyotes would stay out around the edge, and then they would come up. So if we had to go to the bathroom, we had to go with adults because these coyotes were so aggressive. And I'm sitting there, and I'm all freaked out. I'm like, these coyotes are acting weird, and then I'm thinking about the future, and I'm just like, I don't know. And then I get this feeling like something's watching me. And I'm like, I just don't feel right. And I turn around, and that thing is standing behind me, and it's at the very edge of where the forest light can hit. It's sitting there, and it's just watching me, and I was just like, oh my God. And then I took off to get my dad, and I went to tell him to look at it, and it's gone. And I was like, I just felt like it was watching me, and I was like just blown away by this thing, and it was just absolutely massive. This thing was just huge, and I was like, whoa. And so the next morning, me and my brother, we take our little toy guns, and we made little sticks with like spears, basically, and we wanted to go over where I saw the creature. So I went to the area where the creature, we saw it the night before, and we went back in there, and I found this mound, this big, huge, giant mound, and me and my brother started looking into the mound, and we were on top of it trying to figure out what it was. But it smelled bad, but it wasn't like overwhelmingly bad, but it was just like a bad, stinky odor to this mound. And we went and showed my dad, and he was like, don't go in there. I think it's a bear mound, like don't go in there. Like we need to stay away from that area. And so we, the camping trip continued. 3 days into the camping trip, things turned normal. Like I didn't see the creature again. The animals started behaving normal, and things were just normal. The only other weird thing that happened on that same trip is we were walking down the trail, and I don't know what this is relative or not, but we found these rocks that were like kind of circular, that were stacked, on top of one another. And me and my brother were walking, and we were catching horny toads on the trail, and something was throwing rocks at us. And I to this day, we could never figure out what it was, but they were literally throwing rocks at us, something there. And we thought it was my dad playing jokes on us until we walked back, and we were still having rocks thrown at us, but then we could see my dad and my mom at the camp. And so I don't know if that creature was throwing stuff at me or something else, but we never were able to see it during the day, and it was blew my mind. So that happened. I didn't really know what it was or understand what I saw. So, like, years later, I started talking to my friend Aaron, who is Navajo, and I told the story to him, and we were watching a show called Sightings, I think, or something like that, and they were talking about werewolves and stuff. He told the story to his grandma, who speaks only Navajo, and she translated to him, to me, that this thing is a skinwalker. And then when I tried to ask more information about it, she got all upset with us and told my friend that we don't discuss this with outsiders. And that was it. And then we asked his dad about it. His dad said it was some stories that tribes used to believe in that we don't believe in anymore. And then my dad's lying. We still believe in them. I don't know why he won't tell you about them. And I was just like, I don't know. And then for those of you who have heard Hutch Mountain story, or if you heard my other story, we had a rather strange experience on the reservation with some person that moved in this weird side-to-side motion and was following us, and he chased us in the desert. Excuse me. And when we got back to the tribe, people were screaming for help because we thought he was this weird man trying to kidnap us. We turned around, and where the man was turned out to just be a coyote. Was just there, and the Native American man, and we were not like, we were at like a special event that was for tribe members, and it wasn't for like the public. And I was the only Caucasian person there. And my background is I'm white, and I do have Native American. And so I was there to learn about my heritage with him and spending the night there. And his dad was doing something with the tribe leaders. And so that was another weird experience. And I was like, I really don't know what it was. And then I kind of got into like
Bo,
you know, learning about supernatural things.
Bo, really quick, if you don't mind, I know it's not that long. Can you share with us exactly? Because I know how it went down. I don't know if anybody.
Oh, sure. Okay, so we go to this tribe event, and like it's a 2-mile walk to this ice cream shop, or you can cross across the desert. And if you guys are familiar with Arizona desert, this particular desert area was just real low, and there's like small plants. It's not huge cactus. It's like pretty open, so you can see it. Like almost like a giant dirt field. So we walk across this dirt field. We go there. We get the ice cream, but before that, we were told not to leave the area that we were at. But we did anyways because we were bored, and so we got ice cream. We're walking back, and me and my friend, we both stop at the same time, and we're like, something doesn't seem right. We turn around, and there's this man following us, or at least we think it's a man, but we can't make out his face. It's like he has like a hoodie on, but the thing is, though, this is like desert, it's summertime, it's hot. Like, it doesn't make any sense why anyone would be wearing a hoodie. And we got this feeling like something wasn't right. And my buddy Aaron said, we gotta go. And we're halfway to where we need to go before we noticed him. And as we started walking, the man or whatever that thing was, it started following us. And the weird thing about it is when we started moving and started walking faster, it didn't walk like a person. It like gyrated side to side. I really don't know the best way to describe it. It's like it moved side to side. Like it didn't like walk like a person does. It was almost like out of phase or something. And it freaked us out so bad that we started screaming and we started running for help. And we ran. No matter how fast we ran, it stayed about the same distance away from us and was following us. And we were screaming for help. And some of the members of the tribe, like 4 of the men, came running, like just because we're screaming for help. And the tribemen came, and then they grabbed us. They're like, what's wrong? What's wrong? We're like, that man's following us. And then when we turned around, all we see is this coyote. And 3 of the Navajo men ran directly to where the coyote was, looking to see if the man, was ducking under a bush or something. He was completely gone. No trace of him whatsoever. There's no way that he could have disappeared. Like there was nowhere for him to go. It's just flat land. And then we told them what had happened, and they got very, very upset with me and grabbed me and pulled me back to where everyone was. And they said, white people do not walk around here unsupervised. Do not do it again. They said, this is dangerous for white people. And I just never forgot that. And then, I had to go and tell my mom the story. And then they said that, they worry about kidnappers. But I don't know. I don't know what that thing was. And when I later on in life, I had seen a video about somebody who claimed to have had a Skinwalker, and it gyrated the same way that thing did. And the thing is, it's like its eyes were like it was like a person, but you couldn't see his eyes. They were like black. It was just, it gave me a feeling of like not being natural. And that's like the only way I can describe it. It was absolutely terrifying.
Yeah,
Sorry, I'm getting goosebumps right now.
I really think that was a Skinwalker. Just because the way that you describe it, what I've read about Skinwalkers, and I mean, they're just terrifying. They're unnaturally terrifying. They're black magic, but by Navajo shaman, and you're very lucky, I think.
Yeah, I feel that if it would have caught me, it would have killed me. To be honest, it just you know when a predator is coming for you, like if you had that feeling, and I had that feeling, like we knew we had to run. Right. But it wasn't big though. It was like the size of like a small person. Like they would have guessed it being maybe like 5 foot tall, 5.5, maybe something like that. Like it wasn't like huge. It was like a skinny person.
Right. Right. Frail?
Yeah. Real skinny, sickly.
Yeah.
That's what I can describe, like a cancer patient almost.
Yeah. Just from what I've read and what I've, talked to people about that, 100% I believe that the first encounter was definitely a Dogman. This one, right when I read it, a couple months back, I was like, wow, this is straight up a Skinwalker.
Yeah, I would agree. From what, like I said, it's a totally different experience. Like those things were not the same thing. Like that thing was just pure evil. The Dogman, it gave me the sense of like an predatory animal watching you.
Right.
The second one that I saw, it gave the same evil presence that creature gave off. That one was different.
Okay.
The one at my grandfather's house, that one it looked different, and it was sized differently too.
I didn't mean to cut you off on that, so I'm sorry. I normally don't cut people off, but I really wanted to have you share that encounter. Moving forward, your second encounter was at your grandfather's, right?
Yes. So my grandfather works in the military, and at this time we didn't know what he did, but there was a base in California that he lived at, and we went there. It was the first time like I really had met him, and we went to Disneyland. And when we got back, I was going from the living room to the kitchen, and the way his house is set up is there's these giant glass mirrors, or not mirrors, but glass windows. And the way his house is set up is there's like this little tiny, like maybe 3 or 4 foot backyard, and it just goes up this hill that just immediately goes up. So he doesn't really it's just like a real thick, like foresty, like hill that just goes up. And I go to get cookies and milk, and I just walking, and I just happen to look at the window, and it's got its hands pressed against the window, and it's looking at me. And the thing was about the same height as my dad. It was about 5'9". It was like, you ever see like a person who's like not like a bodybuilder, but like, you know, they're like fit, but they're skinny, you know, kind of like a chimpanzee.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. So you could tell it's strong, but it was like skinny. And it was just sitting there looking at me, and I didn't expect it. I just turned, and it's just standing right there looking at me, and I got so scared that I couldn't control myself, and I just started spilling my milk because my hand was just shaking uncontrollably. And I'm just looking at this thing because I thought to myself, the thing I saw in the forest, everyone tried to tell me I didn't see what I saw, and I was thinking, well, it was in my imagination, you know. And then when I saw it a second time, and it was like, I was like, oh my gosh, like it just caught me completely off guard. I couldn't run or scream or do nothing. I just stood there shaking, and I couldn't move. And then it just looked at me, and I just had this feeling of like just dread. Like this thing was just evil. Like it didn't have the animal kind of like characteristics really of the first one. It was like something different, and I was just like didn't know what to do. And I'm just sitting there looking at this monster, and it then pulls its hand away from the window, and it kind of slowly, like, you know, like in those horror movies, it waves its hand at me. Okay, but I can tell you right now, this is no person in a suit or anything. Like this was its arms were long, like the first one. Like it has unusually long arms, like these things. Body was pretty muscular, and I can't remember if its eyes were glowing like the other one or not. I just don't remember. But I just froze. It waved to me, and it turned around slowly, and it started climbing up the hill, and it stopped in the middle of it, moving its left arm, turned around, and looked at me, and I swear to you, it smiled. Like, it took pleasure in knowing that it scared me, and I was just frozen, and it just slowly crawled up the hill, and I was just like, oh my God, like I was so terrified, I couldn't even move. My mom came in, or not my mom, my dad came in, and he's like, what are you doing? And he's like, you're making a mess. And I was like, I'm sorry, and I couldn't even talk. And he was like, are you okay? I'm like, I'm fine, like, because I was afraid that if I told him, they'd think I'm crazy. And this is a little bit of background, but that they're very religious people, so I thought that they would, like, you know, think that I'm like possessed or something, and so I didn't want to say anything because I thought I would get in trouble. And yeah, I was just absolutely terrified. So years go by, I haven't seen anything like this ever again, and I'm like, you know, I start talking to one of my friends, who's my brother-in-law, and he starts telling me about Dogman stories. And I thought he was making fun of me. I really did. And I was like, cause I thought I had told him the story, you know, like I always tell people, you know, you camping, you tell your monster stories or your weird stories. And he's like, no, I go, I swear to you. And he's like, are you pulling my chain? And I said, no. I said, Paul, I'm serious. I'm like, I saw one of these things. And he's like, okay. He's like, there's this channel this guy Jeff had. Just gotta listen to this. And I said, okay. I said, I'll do it. And so I listened to the channel, and I started going back and watching all these videos and talking stuff about the Dogman and stuff. And I was like, this is crazy. This is what I saw. And then jogged my memory is I was working on an investigation with the police about something, and my grandfather used to work for the U.S. Pentagon, and he told me when we were having a conversation about the investigation I was working on that our government in passing, he said that we have things that we work on that are not natural. And I don't know. I was just like, so like entranced, like what? I didn't ask anything. I didn't tell him that I saw it at his house or anything. And he told me that the government works, or that he, I don't know how to say this. If he didn't work directly with these things, but he knew about the project that involved them. And he said that they had a couple different names for them. They called them black hounds, demon hounds, black hounds, demon hound, or hell hounds. Those are the three names that he gave it. And I was just like, and I started thinking immediately about my experiences as a child with that creature, and then how I saw one of these creatures at his house. And unfortunately, I would have asked him more about it, but after he divulged this information to me, he passed away 2 weeks later. So I was just like, I saw it, and then now, after all this, I started talking to people that I know about this, and I come to find out that I have had multiple stories of different people that I personally know who have seen these things. And 2 weeks ago, my brother came down. He had seen one when he was a kid, too. He was at Christopher Creek, and he said that he saw it in the daylight, but he said it stood about 6 or 7 feet tall, and he said it had white fur, and it was just standing there and watching him and his friend Stephen. And I was like, he never told me the story until 2 weeks ago. I mean, my brother, I'm 38, and my brother's like 5 years younger than me. So I started getting into these Dogman stories, and I told my wife my story, and she laughed at me, right? As most people do, and I understand. She went to an event for her company, and they started telling stories. Uh-oh. You guys don't hear that noise, right?
No.
Okay. Sorry, my phone's going off. But so she's telling her coworkers my story, and one of her coworkers says, "Oh, you've got to be kidding me." Her husband, he was here in Arizona. I got more information before. I thought he was overseas, but he wasn't. But he was here in Arizona, and he was in Cave Creek, and he was doing something referred to as a fire patrol. And he said that, like, around 2 in the morning, I think it was 2 or 3 in the morning, some light came out of the forest and just lit it up, like absolutely lit it up like it was daylight. And he said that like 5 or 7 of these dog creatures came out of the forest to the light. And he said that they were walking upright like people. And he was so like freaked out about it, he didn't know what to do. He didn't report it, but he waited till like 5 o'clock in the morning and called his wife and then told her, I don't know if I'm losing my mind, but this is what I saw. And then she told my wife, and my wife was like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe this." So she hears it from me, then hears it from this individual is currently still in the armed forces. He's an Army. And then now I've been watching stuff, and we talk about this stuff quite often. We went camping 2 or 3 weeks ago with a buddy of mine and his wife, and he's ex-military too. And I told him my story, just like I told you guys, and he says, "You know what?" He goes, "You're not going to believe this." He goes, when we were camping at Roosevelt Lake, he was, him and all his Army buddies were hanging out and drinking and doing stuff. It was just the wife? Oh, she said it's just the wife. No, he told me the buddies were there. His wife and his daughter were there too. And he was fishing, and like night catfishing, and he said that he turned and he saw what he thought was like a mountain lion that crouched down drinking water, and he had his 2 dogs with him, which black labs, I think is what the dogs are. But anyways, so he tells me that the dogs get excited. They start barking and they start running at what they think is a mountain lion. And this is also a full moon, so he can see real well. He says it stands up on 2 legs, and it looks at him and then looks at the dogs, and he's running at his dogs to stop his dogs from attacking this creature because he doesn't know what it is. And he says it just turns, and he says it just runs up the mountain. And I said, could you possibly tell me how fast you think it went? And he estimated it to be running around 30 to 35 miles an hour up the hill. He said it was just like that, gone. And his wife and his daughter were very close to him, and by the time they turned around to look, they didn't even see it. It was so fast and gone. And I was just like, wow. I mean, this is, like, I'm coming to find out that sightings of dogmen in the Arizona region is not very uncommon, but they seem to be located around water.
Yeah.
So I don't know if this is like common or...
It's pretty common. I'm finding out that the more interviews and more encounters that I read, they use the waterways like we use roadways. It's very easy for them to travel along a stream, a river bed, without being seen. Rather than running through the woods, they have it's almost like a natural roadway for them.
Yeah, and the other thing that he said he didn't see any tracks, which I thought was weird because he said it was big. And so, but then I started thinking, I'm like, I wonder if their feet padding is like, you know how bears can, you know, there's some animals where their padding like tigers. I'm not, I mean, they bears, but tigers, their feet are designed to pattern the ground, and it limits the amount of exposure that the paw gets to the ground. And I was wondering if maybe they have that as well.
Possibly. I don't think we'll ever know until we have one on a slab to do an investigative, dissection or whatever. But then it won't be cryptozoology anymore. Then it'll be biology. So
yeah, and then another thing, I started thinking about some of the stories that you guys' channel was talking about. I can't remember his name at the moment. The soldier who hunts them.
William.
William?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. William talked about how strong the skin is. And so I was kind of thinking to myself, I wonder if they're, like, you guys familiar with, like, the honey badger and, like, how strong its skin is?
Yeah.
And I wonder if this could be, like, a prehistoric or intermittent species, like a prehistoric species that survived over. We had sharks, we had crocodiles and stuff. Because that would explain, like, the smell, because a lot of those animals in that group, they have scent glands.
Have a musk odor to them.
Yeah.
Yeah. I actually just did a little bit of research, and I was thinking, everyone describes the Dogman and their hands very similar to raccoon, which also has a musk gland. And if you look up prehistoric raccoon, you will get a shock of your life, because it's very similar to what people describe a Dogman to look like. So, all right, Bo. I really appreciate having you on today. It was great talking to you. I've been looking forward to having you on since you shared your first encounter with me. Is there anything that you'd like to say to the subscribers before we end the interview?
Yes. If you're wondering if you should or shouldn't tell your story, please tell your story. It makes me feel so much better knowing that I'm not the only person to see these things. And if you have the story, I really, really want you to talk about it, because I don't know what these things are. I don't know why our government hides them. I really have no idea. That's all I want to say.
All right. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you so much.
Wow. Definitely a couple of terrifying encounters. And I remember the first one, when I narrated it, because I was like almost picturing the truck and, being that little kid with the spotlight, the excitement of going out and camping, and then seeing that sort of creature or whatever, the apex predator. Terrifying. His second encounter is, I shared that with the other encounter that he had at his granddad's when he was at the Navajo powwow and crossed the desert to the little ice cream shop. Definitely a Skinwalker encounter. And you know how I feel about Skinwalkers, guys. They are just terrifying to me. And then his granddad and the encounter there and the information that his granddad may possess and was not able to share. He worked for the Pentagon and had some serious information, I bet you. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed today's upload as much as I enjoyed sharing it with you. And I hope you guys enjoy the second day of October, my favorite month.